our first, I'm right here, our first ChatGPT plugin. So we got invited to the early developer access. And I think there's a small handful of developers right now that are building, and the deadline for submission is tonight. So I wasn't aware of that, but been hacking away for like 10 days on various ideas. We in the end built 3 plugins, but this one I think is maybe not the most like profitable, but to me is the coolest one. So this is the one that I'm going to submit. So yeah, it's been a lot. Also, there's been some like personal stuff. So it's been a whirlwind of 10 days. Also tonight, if you haven't already seen, there's going to be a talk between myself and Sanjit that we are gonna kind of talk about the future of AI, the future of our industry, and we're going to talk about just the impact that's kind of going on right now. So if you want, go ahead and subscribe, or I don't know what it is, like that event, and you'll be able to hear some pretty good discussions that are going to go on. We got some great questions. And so a little bit of this is also just like me testing out equipment, making sure I heard from other people that my last ones were like really grainy. So tried to go faster on internet and things. So we'll see. But anyway, so a little bit of like testing the waters before tonight's event as well. All right. As normal, I can't see you guys. Let's see if there's like a chat. There is. No one's here. That's cool. That's fine. This is more like I'm kind of at that point again that like initial testing over the past couple of days, but initial testing today has shown that it's working, but we're about to kind of do that last major test of like, can the social aspect work? Cool. So what is the Ansible or whatnot? And it's kind of from Ender's Game of this communication device that can be used across planets, across galaxies. And when playing with this idea of building a social network inside of ChatGPT, essentially, kind of giving it the social aspect, I thought it just seemed fitting. I don't know that there's so many other names, and if you like look for names, like they're very uninspiring, and so I was just like, I'll just go with this, and part of it's true, part of it at least sticks. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. So if you don't have access yet to plugins, this is kind of what it looks like here. You'll have your different options. Most people now have GPT-4 and the legacy, but you'll also get plugins. And then over here are your plugins to kind of add. You can only add up to 3. And so it is something that like you have to enable the plugin and then use ChatGPT. You can keep the plugin enabled for as long as you want, but you cannot have like all of them enabled. And the real reason for that is because like, as you understand how plugins are built and made, is on every call, pretty much on every single like thing that you type, every prompt, it will go out and fetch your API schema and determine if that API schema is relevant for what is being like asked and typed. And so you'll see like they use open API YAML files or essentially like old school Swagger. And you will see that the way you build your YAML files, your API specs, is like talking to somebody. It's completely different than how you would normally build your APIs and people using them. We can get more into it later, and like we can have another talk about it. This is really to see, does it work? All right. So you're testing live with me right now. Very, very, very likely will not work, but if it does, super cool. So cool. So let's start by just saying like, show me some boards that I can post in. You'll see it's right now, it's going to get that API spec. It's now determining which API to call, and it calls that API. Looks like I haven't set up my user handle yet. Let's go ahead and just full screen this. My user handle yet. So in In this system, in the social network, we have to be identified by something. And so I don't know about you guys, but like I grew up playing these like text-based mud games. And so this idea of having like a handle that defines you, I really resonate with. And so yeah, you can put your name, you can put, you know, anything you want. I have built-in moderation, so like you can't put bad stuff, you can't say bad words. Um, and so don't do that. But besides that, we could put something like Chase Norton. Very creative. Again, going and seeing it's determining which is the best API to call. All right. So if you notice, it made one call and now it's making another call without me doing anything. So what did it do here? We could actually look into this and we could see that it sent my handle. The handle was created successfully. And then it went in and fetched all the boards. And I built in a pagination on the back end and blah, blah, blah. But it went and fetched 5 boards, not all the boards, for me to look at. And I've already like I'm logged in as a second user. That's why I said we're testing the social aspect. My primary user, I've already created boards, stuff like that. So this is really the social aspect of can Chase Norton communicate with Chase W. Norton handle? Um, and we'll see. Cool. So we have these boards. All right. Let's say, um, can you show me a post in any of the boards? I have no idea what it's going to do. I'm always like, not always, but sometimes I'm curious, like which API is it going to call, and how is it going to call that API? So you'll notice it called an API. It got an error saying it needed a user ID. So then it made another call, and we'll see what that call is. And then it made another call. So somehow it figured out that it didn't somehow. It got an error back saying you're missing this piece of data. And so it then said, I'm missing that piece of data. I need to go fetch that data. And then it's doing something else. So we could look here. So it doesn't tell me, well, it does. So find post. So it called my find post route or API. Then it went and it called the get self. So it wanted to identify itself. And then it went and it said, taking my user ID, look at limit of 1. So it wanted to see, again. Okay, never mind. So it went and it actually found that post by the only post that exists out there. Okay. So here's the other person, not me, right? Let's verify that. Yep. So I'm Chase Norton, and the author of this is Chase W. Norton. And so this is my previous post on my love for self-help books. Cool. I love this. Please add a heart emoji and reply with so cool you love self-help books. So we built in a concept of post, a concept of replies or comments, and nested comments. So you can have like a tree of comments and whatnot. We have reactions. We have notifications. We have boards. I think that's going to be like, you can edit, of course, a board. You can edit a comment. You can edit a post. Look at this. See, it seems that I need the board ID to post a comment. Let me find the board ID for you. And so one of the things I learned while building these plugins is that to post, so yeah, in order to post anywhere, you have to join the board. This is one mechanism to prevent like spam so that people aren't just like spamming every board. Would you like me to help you join? Yes. Please join the board and then post the comment. I forget what I was saying. It's working. And so what's cool is like, this is the beginning days. Where was my brain at when building this is like, if anyone remembers, and I don't, but like I remember like IRC. I don't remember BBSs, but like of course, if you know anything about computer science, you know BBSs. And so like the 70s of like these bulletin board systems. And I know we're at the early days here, but since we're inside this like black box of text that like feels lonely, I was like, how can we create a network inside of there? How can we create this social network that allows you to talk and communicate and share? And the other interesting aspect I think of this is that it is um it's almost it's not entirely run by AI, but everything written is written by AI, like human involvement, human direction. Um, but it's almost like the governing, not the governing body, but the mover in this is AI. And I don't know. I where this takes us on like a year from now, 10 years from now, of like having an entire work of uh work of like um entirely made by AI. The entire every conversation, every reply, every emoji at the end has some final determination that AI says, "Yes, I will write it this way." Um, it's kind of cool. It's interesting. Cool isn't the right word. It's just I wanted to play with this as a proof of concept of something that I find interesting. I'm sure there's ways we can monetize it, but like, and there's another plugin that I make that was like purely for monetization, right? I yeah. Well, I can show it to you actually real quick. Let's watch this. Uh, so cool. Now, please write a post that summarizes this video. And then let's go to YouTube and let's grab any video. Let's grab this one. You can tell I've been watching. And so if you know anything about Lex's videos and podcasts, they're like 3 hours long, right? Let's see what happens. So what? Oh, I haven't enabled the plugin. No, I did. Okay, I think I did. So I built another plugin that's called Vid2 plugin or Vid2. I like it because it leaves it like open enough for me to like vid to anything, vid to blog, vid to whatever. There we go. It's summarizing it, and it allows you to take a YouTube video and summarize it like that. And now, okay, so for now I did that. So now, awesome. Please write a post about this. No, let's see. Start by saying, awesome. Please create a board about Lex Friedman podcasts and then post this as a message and then post this. Yeah. Okay, so now we are creating a board. Well, you know what we're doing. We're creating a board. We're posting as Lex, or not as Lex, about one of his podcasts. So I'm guessing this is, yep. So we created the board successfully. It's working. It's been a long, 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 long 10 days. Cool. Let's see. Show me all messages by Chase W. Norton. Okay. Hmm. Feel like that should have worked. Oh, there we go. Cool. I will want to look into that though. Some feels not correct there. No, the handle is not designed to get posts like that. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it found it by me, not by this. Maybe the names are too similar and it gets it mixed up. I know it's not sending over, yeah, it's finding my data, but I think it's getting too mixed up. I should have made the aliases or the handles more more different. Okay. All right. That's fair. All right. So by responding and liking to Chase W's stuff and writing my own, I think, let's see, show me all boards available. What'll happen is on next login for Chase W. Norton, he can check, I can check for all available notifications. And he will be notified that I liked his stuff, I replied to his stuff, and he can then find stuff about me and like my stuff as long as it doesn't mix up the aliases too much or the handles. Um, and yeah, that's the beginning of this kind of like inside ChatGPT social network that lives here. You have boards, you have posts, you have replies, you have likes, uh, emojis, really. You have notifications. After submission, of course, like where are we going with this? Like I have a whole plan for this. We have, of course, friendships. We have the ability to block in case there's any harassment or anything like that. Private messages, but private messages will only exist between friends. Unfriending, of course. But really, this was the difficult part. Was kind of like this network of a replies, boards, and posts. Originally, I had a different architecture that just wasn't working. It wasn't going to scale, and so like all this morning was rewriting the code. I had built it on like messages and then reply to messages, and then, like, that was a few days ago, and then I realized that, like, that wasn't gonna scale, and so then I kinda went back to the drawing board, and I thought, "Okay, threads and messages." But it turns out humans don't wanna say, "Write a thread," right? We don't. We wanna say, "Write a message." And if you do that, it was confusing the system where the system didn't know, are we writing a reply or are we writing a thread? And then I was having to like hack it in order to get it to work. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. And so looking at the separating the terminology, similar to what I messed up here with Chase and Chase W, is the idea that post and comments. You have a post that inside of it has its own content, right? Um, and then you have comments to that post, but they are separate entities that do not mix together, right? Whereas like originally my threads, you had kind of like a root message, but it was still an entity of a message. And again, it was just you could see the writing on the wall of like this is not going to work. But it took like I think last night 2 or 3 a.m. and then waking up at 6 a.m. this morning because the deadline's in a few hours, and so I was like, I got to rewrite everything. Um, that's why I was like, let's test it out. So it works. Um, I don't think Chase would have any notifications, but show me my notifications. So once you join a board, then every message, every post that goes onto that board after you have joined, you will get a notification about. But until, yeah. But if you join a board, you're not going to get overwhelmed with like all of a sudden you have 300 notifications. You can check to see, show me all post here. Um, Originally I had this idea of like read, the concept of like, I've read this post, don't show it to me again. Same thing with like notifications. Turns out that if you try to force Chat GPT too much into your system, it will eventually break it unknowingly. And so if you're like, you cannot do this unless unless it's unread or read or whatever, eventually it'll just show them the post and then you can't mark it as read or not. And so like you're it's almost like there's an element to your work that's kind of like whimsical and up to the gods, up to the AI of like what's going to happen. Not exactly, but like an example of this is like really what you need to do is make your data as available as possible. And what I mean by that is like you need to make it so that ChatGPT can search through your data as effortlessly and as thoroughly as possible. If you do that, it will decide how to search your data and what is the best way to. And so, like originally, I had like 30, not 30, but I had a lot of APIs, right? Find boards by user, find boards by blah, find comments per post. And then I realized, like, what if I remove all of that and I just go with like 3, or like I just go with like, here's a massively general search function. Take this with a lot of options, you figure out the options. And it does. And yeah, make your data more available and that will unlock your plugin for you. The AI does so much of the work for you. So also learn how to, I'm rambling at this point, but learn how to really structure open APIs like files and specs. Learn how to do it efficiently. Learn how to use Swagger CLI to like make sure that you're not trying to build all in one file. Originally, that's what I was doing, and the file is getting unmanageable. Which your API spec is your way of telling ChatGPT, this is how you talk to me, and this is how I'll talk to you, right? And so if you fail on that, it's your plugin's going to fail 100%. And so yeah, you got to get good with that, and that took me a little bit. And also just changing the way you think, right? It's not so much about this rigid structure of like you're like this is the system. It's let me make this available for you and have fun. And anyways, all right, let's leave this with saying like create a board called LinkedIn Showcase and write a post that exclaims how cool it is to be alive during the age of AI. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining on this. Again, come tonight. I believe for me, it's 5:30. It's in 2 hours. Go check it out. And I will see everyone later. All right. Well, we'll watch this build as we kind of like go away. Oh, the first plugin I built as we're watching this, Jira. That's where I was giving a shout out to like some people I used to work with was like, I got Jira integrated into ChatGPT and it's mind blowing. All right. There we go, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Hopefully I'll see you guys later and bye.